Hey, this is Joe at the Pour Over. Today, we're talking about the arrest of the suspected shooter in Charlie Kirk's assassination, President Trump's plans to deploy the National Guard to Memphis, several historically black colleges and universities locking down after receiving threats, and other top news for Monday, September 15th. Stay informed while remaining focused on Christ with the Pour Over. Here's your quote of the day. We fear men so much because we fear God so little. One fear cures another. When man's terror scares you, turn your thoughts to the wrath of God. G.K. Chesterton. Let's get started with some espresso shots. The man accused of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk was arrested Friday, ending a 33-hour manhunt. The 22-year-old Utah native is a former student at Utah Valley University, the site of the shooting. He was described as a, quote, squeaky clean and considerate young man who excelled academically, but had become, quote, more political in recent years. Utah Governor Cox says the suspect, who is currently being held without bail in the Utah County Jail, is, quote, not cooperating with authorities, but all the people around him are. The alleged gunman's father alerted authorities after his son, quote, implied that he had committed the murder. Cox says authorities were also helped by messages provided by the suspect's, quote, boyfriend, who is transitioning from male to female. The suspect is scheduled to appear in court on Tuesday, where he'll face formal charges. Over the weekend, Erica Kirk released an episode of her late husband's podcast, The Charlie Kirk Show. During the emotional podcast, she thanked first responders and pledged to continue Charlie's work, including his campus tours and radio show. Vigils have sprung up across the country for people to pay tribute to the 31-year-old activist, while others, including an MSNBC analyst and 2 university employees, have been fired for making comments seeming to celebrate or minimize Kirk's death. Some political leaders have upped their personal security or canceled appearances, and members of both parties have condemned political violence and called for peace. VP Vance flew Kirk's body home to Arizona on Air Force Two, where a memorial service has been scheduled for September 21st at State Farm Stadium. In the face of a violent world, Christians have hope. The servant of God, who himself did no violence, suffered violence for us to heal our brokenness and guarantee our home in his peaceful presence forever. Isaiah 53, verses 4 through 5 says, Yet he himself bore our sicknesses, and he carried our pains, but we in turn regarded him stricken, struck down by God, and afflicted. But he was pierced because of our rebellion, crushed because of our iniquities. Punishment for our peace was on him, and we are healed by his wounds. A month after their DC deployment, the National Guard has a new assignment: Memphis. President Trump said Friday that he'll deploy the Guard to the home of the Blues to address crime, noting that Memphis had the highest violent crime rate in America per 100,000 people, according to 2024 FBI data. Governor Lee said he's, quote, grateful for the president's unwavering support, but Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris said Trump's, quote, incursion will cause confusion and fear. Louisiana is also getting a visit. The Pentagon drafted plans to deploy 1,000 troops to various cities. Meanwhile, in Chicagoland, ICE officers were attempting to arrest an undocumented migrant with a history of reckless driving on Friday, when the suspect drove his car into the agents, dragging one. The hit officer fatally shot the suspect and sustained severe injuries himself. There may be good reasons to be worried about this day, month, or year, God does not promise good days. He promises a great eternity in His presence. Stay focused on Him. It changes everything. 2 Corinthians 4, verses 16 through 18 says, "Therefore we do not give up, for our momentary light affliction is producing for us an absolutely incomparable eternal weight of glory. So we do not focus on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal."
Hey, it's Nicole from the Pour Over. I gotta be honest, I'm a pretty routine eater, but you can only have chicken so many ways before it starts getting old. That's why I love HelloFresh. The instructions are super easy to follow, and there are even pictures, so I feel like a pro chef without the stress. And it comes with everything I need to make the recipe. Best of all, it gets me out of my recipe rut. HelloFresh has tons of variety, now with the double rotating menu options to keep meals fresh and fun. It also saves me so much time since I don't have to go to the grocery store or brainstorm recipes for the week. Fresh ingredients just show up at my door, ready to go. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/TPO10FM to see the newest seasonal dishes and get 10 free meals plus a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/TPO10FM to get 10 free meals and a free item for life.
In other brews, here's a rapid round of updates. At least 5 historically black colleges and universities locked down amid, quote, terroristic threats last week. The schools canceled classes Thursday and Friday and weekend activities after university officials reported a string of fake emergency calls. The FBI said it has, quote, no information to indicate a credible threat and didn't indicate whether the calls were connected or racially motivated. An investigation is ongoing. Brazil's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, was sentenced to over 27 years in prison for plotting a coup after losing re-election in 2022. A panel of Brazil's Supreme Court justices voted 4-1 to convict and set the sentence, ruling Bolsonaro attempted to, quote, violently abolish democracy. U.S. President Trump said he was, quote, very unhappy, calling the case against Bolsonaro a witch hunt. President Trump says he's ready to sanction Russia. He's just waiting on NATO to stop buying its oil. The condition echoes a statement by Ukrainian President Zelensky, who called on Europe to end all energy deals with Russia. The renewed push for sanctions comes as both Romania and Poland have reported Russian drones entering their airspace in the last week. Television's biggest stars gathered last night for the 77th Emmy Awards, clapping politely as Severance and The White Lotus added to their lifetime totals. Host Nate Bargatze attempted to keep things on schedule by pledging $100,000 to Boys and Girls Clubs of America and docking money for 2 long acceptance speeches, $1,000 per second over the 45-second limit. College football rankings are playing musical chairs. Texas A&M boot-scooted up 6 spots to number 10, while Notre Dame slid 16 spots to number 24 after the Aggies upset the Fighting Irish 41-40. Meanwhile, Clemson and South Carolina fell from the top 25 after both teams were upset on Saturday. Also unranked, UCLA, which has fired head coach Deshaun Foster after starting 0-3. That's all we have for today. Thanks so much for listening, TPO fam. If you're listening on the Apple Podcasts app, give us a 5-star rating and drop a review. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow and hit the notification bell to never miss a new episode. We're grateful for your support and hope you have a great day. See you on Wednesday. What if you could boost your savings while advancing the gospel? With Christian Community Credit Union, you can. With their high-yield Harvest Bundle, you can earn 4% APY and a $100 bonus with Harvest checking accounts and 5% APY and a $100 bonus with Harvest savings accounts. Plus, every deposit made is used to finance the growth of churches and ministries. Bank with your values with CCCU. Apply for the Harvest Bundle today at mycccu.com/TPO bonus. Terms and conditions apply. Membership eligibility required. Each account is insured up to $250,000. This institution is not federally insured.